Hello, everyone. Good afternoon to you from my end. It's 2 p.m. here in Mississippi, and I'm really excited to be bringing this event today. Most of all days is Easter, right? So happy Easter to you.
Thank you.
I feel like this topic really goes line in line with Easter. It goes really in line with Easter because Easter is about resurrection, really. The whole message of Easter is about the message of resurrection. And if you look at our event topic and what we have planned for today, it's about you stepping into your power, right? It's about you really rising up and understanding that you belong in the room and not just for the sake of it, and really understanding it and believing in it. So I'm so excited. We have speakers who are really seasoned people that would be explaining to us from real life experiences how they've managed to overcome imposter syndrome in their career, in their businesses, and still keep pushing forward. Imposter syndrome is no stranger, right? All of us, the best of us, at one point in our life, there are times you feel like you are a fraud. You feel like, do I even belong in the room? Well, maybe at the end of this event today, you have a different opinion. So I'll be looking in the chat. I always want to be sure that we have audience and our tech is good. If you're hearing me before I keep going on and on, I'm always excited to see the first person that comes into the room. Anytime, see, I'm going to clap for you for being the first. Thank you for coming. You said you've been looking forward to this event, and we've been looking forward to having you. So we are excited. So you get the trophy for being the first person that came into the room. Thank you so much for showing up. Michelle, you are here, always supporting. Hello, Michelle. I'm always excited to see you. And please, as usual, tell me where you are joining from. I always want to see what is the demography of attendance. We had more than 400 people sign up for this event. So we're excited to see. Michelle, Dr. Augusta is, Dr. Augusta, Michelle is saying hi. She's saying hi to you. She's sending you lots of love. And then we have, say, oh, good. Okay, Chibuzo, can you tell me where you are joining from? Tell me where you're joining from. Hello, Michelle. Hello, we are happy to have you here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are excited to have you. Just tell me where around the world you're joining from. So we are just giving just a few random minutes for people to join in before we start our conversation. Okay, Deborah says she's joining from Ghana. How is it going in Ghana? How's it going? Welcome, welcome, Deborah. Augusta, do you have some network issues? Okay, you're back again. Okay. Welcome, welcome. Okay, we have Messi. Melton say he's joining from Purdue. Oh, okay. Well done. Welcome, welcome. We are happy to see you. Mercy says she's joining from Lagos, Nigeria. Yeah, we are excited to have you here. Oh, my dear mentor Heyman is here. He said he's joining from Washington State in the United States. Thank you for always coming around to support. Whenever I see you, it makes me very happy. Thank you so much. You've always been supporting us all the while. And then Michelle says, I love you all from America. We love you right back, Michelle. Thank you so much for joining. So I'm trying to see all the different places. Chibuzo say, I'm joining from Abuja, Nigeria, Gwagwalada to be precise. Do you know, I lived in that place for 6 months because I went to do IT. Yeah, random fact, right? When I went to do my IT, when I was in 300 level, I went from Jos to Abuja to, like a research station that was right there in Gwagwalada. So that's why I recognize it. It's good to know. It's good to know we have something in common. So we have Dr. Fortune says she's joining from London. Welcome, Dr. Fortune. We are excited to have you here. And then we have Henry says, okay, greetings from DC. I guess that's Washington. Yeah, he said Knowledge Physics Lab. Okay, welcome. We're excited to have you. I'm not sure what the lab is, but regardless, I'm happy that you are here. And then I'm trying to pronounce this name. Songon. Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello to you. Hello. We are excited to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, tell me where you're joining from. I'm always excited to see where people are joining from. But we'll get started. We'll get started with our conversation. Today is Easter, and usually we like to keep our events at 1 hour 30 minutes. If you are taking out the time from your lovely Easter celebration to spend it here with us, it means a lot to us. We don't want to take it for granted. We don't want to. We really respect your time, and we appreciate you for tuning in, just coming to spend part of the Easter holiday to just listen to this important topic, which, like I was explaining at the beginning, it cuts across everybody, really. This is something that concerns everybody, and every day we have to keep figuring out ways to overcome imposter syndrome and really understand that we belong and we have the confidence to show up and show out. So before I get going, I'm going to introduce myself just in case there are people here who don't know who I am. My name is Dr. Amaka Ifeduba, and I'm the founder and lead coach at Scholar Up Mentoring Academy. And in our academy, basically, we have two focus, right? Two broad focus. What we do, we help professionals who are trying to build their personal brand, especially on LinkedIn, to show up and position themselves and build their brand and really begin to position themselves as global figures, as authority, and get opportunities for themselves, because nowadays we all understand the importance of being visible. It's not just enough to say, I'm very good at what I do. If people don't know what you do, if people don't know the problems you are solving, you may not get all the opportunities that you would be able to get if you knew how to navigate the online space. So we are really experts in getting you to position yourself on LinkedIn, build your business, build your service, progress in your career, and do it correctly. And then the second thing we do at the academy is mentor graduate students. For me specifically, I tend to guide students who are trying to come to the United States for grad school. I got my PhD in the United States from Texas A&M University. And Augusta, who is like my right-hand woman, I know she does a lot of work guiding students who are trying to go to France for graduate school. But of course, I'll be passing it on to her in the next minute to introduce herself while we get started with the show. Let's get this show on the road. I'm so excited. Thank you very much for joining us. I see other people. Habib say he's joining from Ethiopia. Oh, okay, that's good. Thank you so much for joining. We're excited to see you from Ethiopia. So, Augusta, I'm going to pass it to you to introduce yourself, and then we can get started.
Okay, thank you so much, Amaka, for setting up this beautiful academy. And thank you everyone for showing up this Easter evening. Honestly, I was like, we should all be in bed and resting, but we're here because it really matters to share this topic. So I'm Augusta. I'm a medical doctor and Amaka's right-hand woman, as she said. I am the Senior Executive Administrator of the Scholar Up Mentoring Academy. I'm also an education consultant, and I currently work as the Africa Development Officer for Lyon Business School, the top French business school. And I'm just happy to just be here with you, truly.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the quick intro. So I'm going to play like a 1-minute video that just introduces Scholar Up officially, and after that, that's it. We'll get the show on the road. So this is just like a video that tells you a little bit about us, just in case you're coming across and you're wondering, what is Scholar Up? I've never seen them before.
Success begins with the right guidance and opportunities. And at Scholar Up Mentoring Academy, we are here to help you unlock your full potential. Whether you're preparing for graduate school applications or building a standout professional presence on LinkedIn, we provide the tools and support you need to thrive. Our programs are designed to help you craft a compelling personal brand, position yourself for global opportunities, and achieve your dreams. Led by Dr. Amaka Ifeduba, a dedicated mentor and coach, Scholar Up empowers you with personalized mentoring, actionable resources, and proven strategies to take bold steps toward a brighter future. Scholar Up Mentoring Academy is more than a program. It's a community dedicated to helping you succeed. Take the first step today and discover how we can guide you on your journey to greatness. Follow our page for updates and access all our resources at linktree.com/scholarupacademy. Your success story starts here.
Okay, now we've got that out of the way. I see Annie is here. Annie, I'm excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us. I recognize that is your YouTube, so I recognize it. Thank you so much, Annie, for joining. We are really excited to have you. And Anita says she's joining us from Detroit. Anita, we are excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming. So we are going to get started. And as we have the conversation, we are having a three-way conversation, right? So I'm going to talk to the people in the studio and I'll converse with the people in the chat, and all of us will have this beautiful conversation. And at any point, if you have a question, please feel free to put it in the chat. The speakers we have are really seasoned people, and all of us can attempt to answer your questions. And if you have an insight, also share it in the chat, and I'm going to project it for everybody to see. One more last thing. Help us share the events, please. If you're here, just help us repost. There could be someone who is randomly scrolling through LinkedIn or YouTube. So this is live on YouTube and live on LinkedIn. So if you're joining, I see Annie is joining from YouTube. You can join either of the platform. Please just help us repost, right? If you want to take it out of your page at the end of the event, you're free to do that. But at least for this next 1 hour and a half, help us repost. There could be people in your feed who would benefit from this conversation. I really appreciate it if you could do me that one small favor of reposting the event so that other people can join in. Okay, now that I have all of that out of the way, I'm excited to bring in our speakers. First of all, I'm going to bring in Ma Ibironke. She's the CEO of the Parents Lounge. She's going to explain to us what that is. So welcome, Ma. Go ahead and introduce yourself while I bring in Mama Paulette. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very
Can you
much for having me, Dr. Amaka, and the whole of Scholar. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Okay, good. So thank you. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Ibironke Shemowo. As most people know me on LinkedIn, but to most people, I'm just Ronke. But if you're searching for me on LinkedIn, I'm Ibironke Shemowo. I am a mindful parenting educator. I have worked with parents and children in the last 10 years through my after-school care for young children ages 4 to 11. What the after-school care center does is to provide a safe home away from home environment for children within those critical hours from when their parents close from work or businesses. We raise the children in those 5 hours. That has given rise to a virtual parenting community called the Parents Lounge, which is a platform for providing support, for providing that village for parents to get mindful parenting strategies to raise their children, build thriving families, and reduce the stress that comes with the chaos of parenting. Who I am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my Mbiranke. I'm so excited to have you here. I hope your network lets us hear you for the time period. You know what you have in common with Mama Paulette? Do you know one thing you have in common with her, and why I thought bring the both of you together? Is because she's also very passionate about writing books for children and making sure children are not afraid. And maybe she will talk all about that. But it's like I feel like that's something both of you have in common. You're really passionate about children and parenting and all of those. So, Mama Paulette, over to you. Please introduce yourself and then we can get started with our conversation.
I'd love to. Hi, thank you very much to everyone for having me. Of course, Dr. Amaka, Dr. Augusta, and I'm going to decide you're my friend, so you're going to be Romka. So I've decided that's how it's going to be. So I'm Paulette Hallam, well known to many of you on LinkedIn. I am an author and I'm a consultant. So I've been through the whole glass ceiling. I got to the very, very top. Then I retired, became a counselor, therapist. I retrained. And then after I gave up, realizing I couldn't help every child in the world, I decided if I wrote books, perhaps I could reach more. So that's when I met the great Ennio Song and people like Michelle and so many millions of you. And, it's a community on LinkedIn, it's a family. But we're also there to sort of support each other. So when Dr. Amaka said, and I did know her before she was a doctor, but we called her doctor. So when Dr. Amaka said, would I come along? I couldn't say no, even though it's Easter Sunday. It's like outrageous, but here I am doing my thing. And I've got lots of thoughts and ideas on this topic because I've worked with so many young people who had such ability but didn't realize they had it. And the problem with the whole of what the conversation for me is if we don't start teaching children how important they are and how valued they are, then how the earth do we expect grown-ups to feel that way? So this starts at childhood. So I'm really glad you mentioned that because it's important. So yeah, I'm all up for this conversation.
Thank you so much. Yes, when I thought about this topic, usually when I come up with me and Augusta, we kind of brainstorm and we think about topics that make sense, that will bring value to people. And then once we have the topic, now we have to begin to match the topic with personalities. We have to begin to like who would bring the most value or experience to this topic that is practical, beyond chat GPT knowledge. Anybody can get everything from Google or ChatGPT. But when you've lived the experience, is different. When you can speak from your own personal experiences, from your own personal challenges and overcoming, I always feel like it sticks better than just random information that anybody can find for themselves. So I'm so grateful that both of you have honored us with your presence, even though today is Easter Sunday and you should be resting, but well, we're resting together. That's good. So I'm just going to get started because I want to kind of stick to the time and have us out of here in the next 1 hour or so, so we are not spending all the Easter on LinkedIn. So I'm going to start with your question, Mama Paulette. I want you to just share with us some of the practical strategies that you've used personally to silence your inner critic in maybe high pressure situation that we all face at one point, and you begin to tell yourself, I'm not good enough. How do you manage to silence that voice and then keep moving forward and stay functional?
I think the one thing, I don't believe in the fake it till you make it. That's not true. That's not real. That gets seen, you see through it very quickly. So what I believe is you dig deep and you find the thing that you absolutely excel at, whether that's public speaking, whether that's giving a presentation, whatever the thing is, that that you can knock it out the park. And you keep that thing in your mind and you tell yourself, not only am I amazing at that, no one else is as good as me, right? And while you have that one thing in your mind, everything else can pale into insignificance. So you have to push forward with the thing that you really know you can excel at, and you push back with the things that there's a chance that you might not be quite as good at. And when you do that, you find that you personally feel like, oh yeah, I can do that, right? And as soon as you see that in somebody, and not just yourself, but in somebody else, so when you've seen it work for you, you can then show it to somebody else. And so I've always done the whole push forward with what you're good at and you can really excel at, pull back with the stuff that you feel like you might fall over with. Not saying you won't be any good at it, just not as good. So that's where you really do learn when the imposter syndrome comes in and you think, oh, I can't do it, I can't do it. You go straight back to the yes, I can. Yes, I can. Foot on the gas. I know what I'm doing. And then, that is the one method that I found helps everybody. Whatever the topic, whatever the subject, whether you're at school or whether you're at university, whether you're at work, just all the time, think about what's the one thing I can ace,
Mm.
right? and knock it out the park. And then when you can see that happen, then visually you have to see yourself at Wimbledon, and the ball coming over and you knocking it out the park, and that's the moment you go, it's okay, I've got this, don't worry, I'm fine, right?
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Yeah, I think the way I used to say it to my mentees, I say as much as possible, build on your strengths. I think that's rephrasing what you've said. Like, don't focus as much as it's good to improve your weaknesses, but if you stay stuck on that, then you would always feel inadequate all the time. You feel like I'm not enough. I'm not doing enough. But figure out the one thing that you are great at and make sure you are shining so brightly that the light helps to probably cover the other areas. Thank you so much for explaining it. It makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to come back to you, to my Bironke, with a similar question, but in this case, I want you to just think about like a specific moment in your career or business where imposter syndrome hit you the hardest and how you overcame it. Let me unmute. I think you're muted. Okay. Yes, you're good to go.
Okay. Am I okay? Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, this is as recently as 10 years ago. As recently as 10 years ago, when I was going to move from paid employment in the corporate sector to doing my own thing. Now, paid employment just stopped abruptly. Plan. I looked back at myself and I thought, what skills do I have if I don't want to go back into in an easy chat with one of my sons one day? I just told him a few days after I had paid employment that, you know what, I'm going to have to learn all over again because this is what I've done all my life. And then he went, no, you have skills. I'm children. That's what you do best, you know. And he said that so it was a message to me. And, you know, that set me thinking, if there is one thing I can do for free, absolutely free, it was being a parent for you, anyone around me. I step in and I do that. I came up with the idea of starting a bridge for parents when they're to them in those hours from when their children close school and when they finish from work. Let me provide an intervention. But then I told myself, who knows me? Who's going to trust me with their children? I haven't done anything like this before. The closest I've been to educating a child in a formal sector was getting my first degree in education, which I never did anything with anyway. So it came in and I felt, okay, this sounds like a good idea. But really, who are you going to talk to come and drop their children with you after hours? What do you even know how to do with them? Are you going to do? So I kept thinking about that for months. I'll try to step back. In my mind, all I could see was the doubt, you know, the doubt about starting, the doubt about you need a name in this industry, you needed to sons in parenting, in being a family strategist and things like that before you do what you're thinking of. So I struggled with that for about 6 months. The idea on paper and in my head, still wondering, how do I do this without failing? So as recently as 10 years ago, I battled with that. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm asking,
Gosh,
how did you?
Audible.
Now you're back to being audible. I think your network is really. We cannot hear you now.
Yes. Okay, you can hear me now. Am I audible now?
Yes, you're good now. Yes.
Wow, I thought I had this network on lockdown. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so I think I didn't hear your last question.
No, I said, how did you overcome it? You know, like you have just described the situation, but eventually you went on to do your thing. How did you make that shift?
Okay, now who I had helped in sorting out issues with their children. You know, in the general course of conversation, I was saying, this is what, but these are the doubts going on in my head. And for so many people, it was like that is the natural progression for you, Ronke. Why should you doubt yourself? You help this person with, you help that person with this situation, and then they called to my remembrance so many things I had done unknowingly, you know, to help people with raising their children, solutions to some challenge or the other in their homes and all. And then I thought to myself, you know what? Let me test the waters. I'll start this venture from my home. And so I started from my sitting room and my guest room. I was going to try it small so that if anything goes wrong, I wrap it up small. But, you know, after doing it for 18 months in my home, I knew that it was time for a kind of help that parents came back to me that said, this is what we need. This is what you have done to our homes and to our structures. Then I knew it was time to actually put myself out there with this idea.
Thank you so much for that. Yes,
my network.
Yeah, hopefully your network is good. And I think what I if I'm going to wrap up what you said in one sentence, I would say you needed data to prove to yourself that you were going to succeed. One other way that I've learned to deal with imposter syndrome sometimes is to look at the data. Like instead of focusing on what I'm feeling, I want to focus on what are people saying, what are people's opinion of what I've done, in what times have I excelled at this? And sometimes that also helps you to get over your own mind. Thank you so much for sharing that. Since you were speaking, we've had people join in. MJ is here. She says, Happy Easter, my people. She sees Mama Ibironke, Dr. Amaka, Dr. Augusta. Can you not see Mama Paulette? Are you blind, MJ? Don't mind me. Don't mind me. MJ is my friend. I like to look for her trouble. Yeah, Blessing says, train your mind that you deserve it and you can achieve it. Thank you, Paulette. So she's repeating what you said. Thank you so much for keeping the chat busy. I see all the things. And Mama Paulette, Annie says you're looking glorious. It's Easter, so you should look glorious. It's resurrection. That's good. Thank you so much, Annie. And then John says he's a financial education tutor at Billable Teaching School and Home Education Shop, watching from Zambia. Great topic. Thank you, John, and thank you for introducing yourself. We are happy to have you here with us and listen in on the conversation. And Ojo Mercy says she is a podcast virtual assistant joining from Nigeria. Mercy, we are happy to have you. We are always excited when people are able to join in. And Heyman says, focus on what you really like, then go deep. Yes, I agree. I really agree that, and this is what I've been trying to do in my life, even though it's still very difficult. I'm trying to see how I can focus on the things I enjoy doing that make me come alive. It's not always easy, right? It's not always easy to make that choice. So Mama Paulette, I'm coming back to you. How can busy professionals create a space of confidence building when they are already overwhelmed? This one, I need an answer for myself. When you are so overwhelmed with issues of life, it's like you're wondering, how do you really keep up your confidence level when you get issues thrown at you that sometimes you feel like it's beyond you and things like that? How do you keep going?
Okay, I'm going to throw something out there and you're going to think I'm mad, but just go with it for a moment, okay? If you imagine you're in a nightclub, okay? And whether you're the man or the woman looking for whatever, the man or the woman is looking for a partner to dance with, for future, who knows what, dinner, whatever, right? There's only one of you, and there are many of them, right? How do you get the girl to dance with you? How do you get the girl to have a coffee with you? How do you get the guy to have dinner with you, right? If you visualize it like that, okay? So you're looking at this huge dance room. Everybody's doing their thing as they do, right? And you've somehow got to get in there and make yourself so damn attractive that they're going to go, whoa, look at Dr. Amaka. She's the one for me, right? How do you make yourself that big, that large, that magnificent, right? And we're talking resurrection today, right? Magnificent. You can't just go in there and just start pushing people out the way and going, you'll do. I've chosen you. You're the one for me. And this guy's going to look at you terrified or whatever, right? The point is, what you've got to do is be you. Is be you in all your own magnificence. So you have to stand tall. You have to put your feet into the ground like you're a tree. So you've got that confidence, that look, statuesque, okay? And then you stand there, and once you've got the stature, now you've got the thought process going, right, I look good, I've got the right gear on, now I'm going to strut, okay? And you're going to strut. And the reason you're going to strut is because you're the confident one. You're the one that knows that guy is going to want to dance with you. And the reason you know that is because you're Amaka. You're Dr. Amaka. Why wouldn't he? Right? So you know he's been waiting the whole night for you to walk in, right? So over we go. And when you're standing in front of that person going, and he's going to look at you and go, oh yeah, right? Because the confidence exudes, right? Now, when you are talking about being professional, put this into the work environment, okay? The mouse, the quiet mouse that might be the best worker in the room, they might put more output out than anybody else, but they're almost invisible because they don't get seen, they don't get heard, and they almost are unvalued. And that's horrible to say, but I'm just being brutal, okay? The mouse doesn't get seen. Their work output is amazing, but they aren't noticed. Okay? What we need to be is noticed, and noticed for all the right reasons. And there is a fine line here. Now, this is really important. Arrogance is not attractive. Overconfidence is not attractive. Confidence, being self-assured, knowing, they're attractive qualities. Those are the qualities that people go, oh, so Dr. Augusta does that. Oh, right? Oh, that's what we want to hear. We don't want to hear, oh, she's a right one, She's far too confident, that one. Have you seen how she struts around the room? We don't want to hear that. We're not talking about blowing you up. What we're trying to do is pull you so that you become visible. And that's the key. It's about being visible for the right reasons, with the right level of confidence and the right ability to show people, this is who I am, this is what I've got, and you better notice. Because if you don't notice, guess what? I'm going somewhere else. Biggest mistake you make is let me leave. Do you see?
That is really that's a very vivid description. I think Austin is saying, he says, now I'm loving the vivid description. Yeah, that's a memory that is going to is going to stick with me for a very long time. And I love the way you describe it, because I personally, part of the things I've had to struggle with as a person is where do you draw the line between arrogant and confident? Because there are people who would consider you arrogant for being confident. And I'm not being confident. I'm just saying, this is who I am. And then they just look at you like you feel like you're all that. So I feel like it's a gray line that we have to just keep figuring out every day, where you are making sure that you are visible for the right reasons, but you are not all up in people's faces that they begin to feel like, oh, wow, that person. So thank you so much for that description. My Biranke, I'm going to come back to you. I hope your network lets you give us a response. So I want you to kind of help us answer when you recognized, right? It's just like a follow up to your other question. And when you recognize that you belonged in the room and you could do whatever you wanted, really, because that's what you went on to do, right? You abruptly stopped working and now you have all this time in your hand and you're wondering, what am I going to do with myself? And suddenly you realize that you can do whatever you want, even though you had to struggle for a while, but eventually you overcame it. How have overcoming that imposter syndrome and just stepping into your power helped you to really show up professionally, and how has it changed your career as a whole? Yeah, that's really the question I have for you. Let me unmute again. Yes. Can you hear me? I don't know if
Okay.
you hear me.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm on mute. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you very well, Dr. Maka. Now, this speaks to what Paulette has just shared: confidence. When you overcome that imposter syndrome and you actually take that step to do what you've always wanted to do, it gives you a sense of confidence. Now you're beginning to see the world as your stage. Just step on it, be you, do you. So once I took that decision and I was able to take the first step with the first set of children who walked through my doors, the ideas began to flow. It was now limitless what I could help families do in raising their children well, in bridging a gap between the hectic hustle culture that we live in now and the demands of it. Gave me a lot of confidence. I was able to step out. If anyone told me I'll be doing what I'm doing with the Parents Lounge today, some 3 years ago, I'd have said, no, not me. No, I wouldn't do that. But after having seen what I've been able to achieve with the after school care, with the feedback I get from parents who have gone on to become like sisters and brothers because they saw the weight of what I did for their children. It was easy. It was simply easy to step into that space of the Parents Lounge for me. So it gave me the confidence to now start unleashing those things that I didn't know were hidden in me, to bring them out so that I could fulfill the purpose it was meant to fulfill.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah, that's a very wonderful response. And I think what I hear is that most of the time the things you do and you succeed, maybe it gives you the confidence to know that if I can achieve that, then maybe I can do more. And then you keep going. I'm going to mute your mic. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think that's before we move further, I'm going to ask Augusta to chime in to just kind of tie in what we've discussed so far, and then we have the second half of the event. That's just going to give us like the nuggets and bullet points. Augusta is an expert in bringing it all together and then just giving it in really, really beautiful bullet points. Yeah. So thank you, Augusta.
You two mamas, Mama Ivy and Mama Paulette, you guys have been giving nuggets of wisdom. So I'm gonna start with like some bullet points I've been noting down. So first thing you said was that find that one thing that you're good at and just push it. Like I saw some people, we always try to compare ourselves, and then we see people doing great things, doing other things, and you're like, oh, I wish I could be like that person. But people are also looking at you, wishing they could be like you. So why don't you focus on that your good thing and then build on it and let it grow. And then when Madam Ivy was speaking, her first thoughts when she was talking about how when she lost her job from her professional work, and then she was thinking of where to transition to. And then everyone around her just thought it was obvious. You've been parenting people's kids for a while now, and that's it, like the next thing you should be doing. And she was like, no, I'm not sure, I'm not popular. And what I got from that was that you need to surround yourself with people who see you and believe in you and remind you of your greatness. This is my own thoughts. This is what like I was hearing, because sometimes you have that talent within you, you have that gift within you, and then but you don't know that you've got it. But when people keep reminding you, I think that's one thing Amaka does for me. My number one cheerleader, she's always pushing me. I'm like, I'm tired. I don't think I can do this. She was like, no, you've got to do it. You can do it. And like that's the kind of people you need to have around you, because when the imposter syndrome strikes, it can always strike anytime. You need those people around you. And then to finalize what Madam Paulette said, she was like, visualize the results you want. You see that man that you want, imagine him at the dinner table with you. Visualize it, and then be you in all your magnificence. Put your feet down like you're a tree. This is like poetry, madam. Oh my God. You need to be noticed for all the right reasons and noticed for your competence, because competence is attractive, but arrogance isn't. Arrogance isn't. And then finally, you need to start. Like Madam Ivy said, she started doing the parents' lounge, working with kids, and then she started seeing that she was good at it. So when you see what you're achieving, it gives you the confidence to do more. So yeah, this is where I'm going to stop for now. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Augusta. Thank you. I always like to take those breaks and then we can gather our thoughts. Thank you for always providing, trying to tie all the thoughts into simple bullets. Yeah, those are really great nuggets that anybody can take and begin to practice from today. One thing I tell people, the people I mentor, I tell them I see everything as a skill. I see confidence as a skill that you learn. I see resilience as a skill. I believe that you just have to be intentional about building that skill. Don't just assume that you would just become confident, or you would just be resilient. You would just know how to pick yourself up from difficult situations when you've not intentionally worked those muscles. So that's the whole point of gathering to discuss this topic. So, Mama Paulette, I'll come back to you. I believe that one thing that keeps people stuck, I think Augusta mentioned it briefly, and that is comparison, especially now that it looks like the online space is becoming real life more than the actual life that we have. Everybody is online, and most of the time, people project. It's about projection, right? It's about creating perception. People show you what they want you to see. And you see other people who look around and feel like, I'm not doing well enough. Oh, I'm so terrible. Oh, I'm not good enough. And that just even stops them because they are struggling so much. How do you recommend to people? What would be the practical ways for people who always find themselves comparing themselves to others, wanting to be other people, and then that just keeps them from making progress? What would be your professional recommendation?
Whew, big one, this one. So comparison is the thief of joy. And what that means as as an absolute statement is, if you are comparing yourself to anybody, whether it's work, friends, somebody on the internet, television, whatever, actresses, blah blah blah, if you're comparing yourself to that, then you're never going to be happy, because your joy in seeing yourself and thinking, yeah, I look all right, or I'm pretty good at what I do, and somebody else is, earning gazillion trillions on the internet just doing hideous TikTok videos, and people are paying them millions, and you're thinking, and I'm sweating it out trying to get my doctorate. Hello. But actually, there is a reality here, okay? One in gazillion make it to the TikTok top numbers, right? So we hear about all these people that are making millions, and no. There's probably one or two, but we hear about all of them over and over again, all right? And the thing that I would really state is this: most photographs, most internet people you see are filtered. All right. This is real me. This is unfiltered, right? This is my nose. They can't do that when they're being filtered, right? So, because they wouldn't dare. Um, so you see a filtered version of somebody, but not just their face, a filtered version of their life. Okay. When you are injecting bits and pieces left, right, and center to make your body look a certain kind of way, okay? If that's what you need to make you happy, you must be very sad, because life is not just about how big is my bum, okay? Life is about living, okay? Life is about being kind. Life is about doing good deeds. Life is about succeeding. Life is about having a future and a future planet and a future world and a future. Not about injecting your bum or sticking things in your eyes. Okay. So, what I have to say is this: when you talk about comparison being the thief of joy, it means that we should be learning to be happy in our own shell. We've been given this shell and we have to learn to be happy in it, because until we do, and that doesn't just mean our physical being, it means our mental being. And I'm a big person for mental wellness. And I really am, I get so upset when I'm having to deal with people who are comparing themselves to others and they're not eating and they're having to go through all kinds of health issues because they're worried about their weight. They're worried about their hair. They're worried about their eyelashes. And I'm like, whoa, are you a good person? Are you kind? Do you help other people? Do you do this? Do you do that? And when they go, yeah, you go, well, that is worth a million eyelashes or Botox or bum injections or whatever else, right? Sorry, it's not a good day to talk about bums. It's not Easter Sunday. But listen, we're resurrecting ourselves here, guys. We're saying lift yourself up, but forget your bum. We're not lifting your bum today. We are lifting ourselves complete, whole. We're lifting our minds, we're lifting our bodies, we're lifting everything. We are not lifting with bottom injections, okay? And that is what we're trying to say. If you are looking at comparing yourself in any way, shape, or form, you are going to be very unhappy.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry. That got a bit bottomy. I do
I should have
apologize.
warned them that you were brutally honest. I should have warned them that Mama Paulette has no filters. She's going to say it as she sees it. I was just laughing so much, but you are absolutely right. You know, sometimes people need to just hear the truth as it is, just the stark truth. Don't paint it, don't sugarcoat it. You need to just hear it in its raw form. And I thank you for just that insight where we need to begin to see ourselves beyond just the physical and think about the value we truly bring as human beings. Are we good people? Are we helping others? Are we kind people? Those are more values that should carry more weight other than trying to be this person or be that person. Thank you so much. And I'm going to look at our friends in the chat so they don't think we've forgotten them. They've been sending in a lot of message. Chin also says, great job, well done, Dr. Amaka, Dr. Gusta, Mama Ivy. Thank you so much. And Emmanuel says he is enjoying the section from Ghana. We are happy to have you here. And then Austin says, surround yourself with people who truly see you. Yeah, that's true. Those who push you beyond the first limit you place on yourself. True. I've had those kind of people in my life, people that would look at you and tell you you can, even when you think you can't. And I try these days to be that for other people as much as possible, to just not let them quit on themselves, right? Jennifer says, what is the one thing you can do happily without money? I guess that's important, right? That's an important question for everybody to answer, to figure out what is the thing that gives you the most happiness and that you can really do without anybody paying you. Yes, that makes sense. Ojo Messi says, focus on what you're good at and let it grow. Yep, I agree. And then she says, surround yourself with people who know your potential. That's true. You guys are dropping in a lot of nuggets. I like it. I like it when people are so, sometimes you are so active that it's hard for me to keep up. Messi says, imposter syndrome will always strike. When it does, those people who believe in you will help you through it. Yes. And then Echezona says, comparison steals joy. Yeah, just as Mama Paulette says, that's right. And Chinonso is giving a shout out to Dr. Augusta. She says, you look gorgeous. So the rest of us know. The rest of us know. No problem. Yeah. Well, I'll let you have it. Okay. Then Mercy says, you need to be noticed for all the right reasons and noticed for your competence. Yeah, that's true. I think that is something that all of us have to intentionally work on, being visible for the right reasons. You know, it's not just about being visible, but what are you visible doing? And then Emmanuel says, great submission, Paulette Hallen. Thank you for making a great submission. And then Mercy says, start no matter what. When you see that you're achieving, it gives you the confidence to keep going through. That's exactly what happened with us at Scholar of Mentoring Academy. We started 10 months ago. We are going to be 1 year very soon, right? We are going to be celebrating our 1 year anniversary very soon. And we literally just started not knowing that we'll be able to keep it up. And then my dear mentor, Heyman, says, Paulette is great. So Paulette, I wanted you to see that. This is my dear mentor. He takes care of me. He says, you are great. Thank you so much. And then Mercy says, comparison is a thief of joy. If you're comparing yourself to anybody, then you are never going to be anything. I totally agree with you. Thank you very much. There's a lot in the chat going. Keep it coming. Even those who are not here, they would be happy to come back and read the chat. I'm going to have one more from Jennifer. She said, what is the one thing you can do happily without being paid or the gain first? If you found the answer, then build on it and you'll be happy you did. Even the Bible recognized that the gift of a man will make way for him. Yes, thank you. That's true. That's really, really true. It's important that we do the soul searching. We keep at it until we find our own thing. So Ma IB, I'm going to come back to you again. Now, I want to ask you, I know that people say starting is the hardest part. Personally, I don't think so. Life experiences have shown me that if you come in touch with a good motivational speaker, personally, I can motivate anybody to start anything. Just give me some time, let me be with someone, I'll motivate them to start anything. So starting is usually not the hardest part. I feel like maintaining the momentum when things get tough. I feel like that's the hardest part in the grand scheme of things, that you can start anything, but then things can get tough. You started a business, it's not going to be all rosy. You would experience issues. So what are some of those internal and external practices that would keep you grounded in your value over time, when things don't work? Because in life, things will not always work linearly. Let's be very honest, right? No matter how confident you are as a person, there will be time when you look at things and you're wondering, like, did I make the right decision? And things like that. So how do you keep yourself through those periods and you not lose your confidence and then keep making progress here?
Motivation helping you to start something, but it's discipline that keeps you. Times I've started a fitness regimen, and because I'm motivated by what someone said or what I have seen, and then a few weeks down the line, I'm back to my old ways. So right now, I know that motivation enough cannot sustain you over a long term. So what I usually look at, apart from picking up motivation from inside of me and not being externally motivated, if I have the perspective of how much it makes to me, I'll have shut down in 2 years of operations. Then the money wasn't motivating. So it meant I had to look inwards for what will keep me going. Another thing I've had to do is accountability. When you're on a journey to some place, if you have accountability partners, they help you up. There are some people that I call helping up when the head is weary. Who you have told that I'm going this journey, and they're supporting you. And those people help you even when you're weak, when you feel it's not. You need accountability partners. You need a support system to keep you going. Apart from deriving joy, because the joy you derive from whatever enterprise you set out on can wane. It can wane things. What you can right now when you just start may be different 5 years down the line, but you still need to keep going. So you need to look deep inside of yourself to motivate yourself. You need to develop the discipline to put in structures that will help you run even when you are tired. There must be structures to help you, because tired you will get at some point in time. And then having accountability partners and the support system has really helped me get afloat, keep me going at those times when I feel, maybe I should just pack this up, go do something else, or not even do anything at all. It comes to that. So those are the things I'll say have helped me in this past years.
Oh yeah, thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing that. That is, yes, you're welcome. That is so practical and that is so true because like I mentioned, motivation can really get you started with anything. I too have been on fitness journeys a couple of times and Augusta is laughing at me. She's supposed to be my accountability partner, but she's a terrible one in that regard. She has not kept me accountable. We are supposed to keep each other accountable for our fitness goals. Both of us have failed woefully on that end. Hopefully, we will be motivated to pick it back up again after this call. Yeah, but you're very right because that is real life. That you can hear a speech or listen to a speaker and then you just start. But how do you sustain it? How do you really keep going when the going gets tough? How do you even keep going, especially in the case of a business, when you're starting a business in the first year, in the first 2 years, you're not making any real money. It feels like you're walking like an elephant and you're feeding like an ant. Like I'm doing all this work and I'm not getting anything back. In those periods, it's if you just as you explained, it says it's your inner motivation, the joy that you derive from what you're doing, having those structures in place, having accountability partner, being disciplined to carry yourself through those periods. That is really, really, that's so true. I'm going to ask you a question, Mama Paulette, that is in line with that question that I asked my Bironke. And that is, I feel like sometimes people could be suffering from imposter syndrome and not even know. I feel like sometimes people are in denial. Maybe all of us. You may not even know that what is stopping you is the fact that you in your mind you may never voice it out. I feel like sometimes people, like you mentioned, the whole fake it till you make it. Some people have that ability to really be outwardly confident, but inside they are really afraid, and that imposter syndrome is keeping them from making progress. So, how do you recognize what are some of those signs for people to actually recognize that what is keeping them stuck is imposter syndrome, and how do they overcome it? Even though sometimes it doesn't show because they know how to act, like act the confidence when they really are not. Yes.
Okay, so there's a word that we've used, and I think we've all used it at some point, and it's inner strength or it's strength. That comes from having a belief system, it comes from having accountability partners, it comes from having a strong moral compass, it can come from a belief system that if I do X, Y, and Z, that will get me to here. So, for example, you can't just have a PhD. You have to get your master's first. You have to do this. There's an order that things have to be gone through, and the inner strength is like a sausage. If you imagine squeezing a sausage, all right, or a tube of toothpaste. Let's go with something easier. Let's go with the tube of toothpaste because the actions were suddenly going to get a bit dodgy with the sausage. So we're going with the toothpaste tube, okay? Right. So we're imagining a tube of toothpaste, okay? If we just squeeze it in the middle, okay, and a load of it shoots out, okay, that leaves us with a tube of toothpaste with a big squidgy bit in the middle, a hole, right? That's a void. That void has to be filled. The only way it can be filled is by squeezing this end to push the toothpaste along. So what you have to imagine your body and your mind, and this is how I would talk to people and say to them, when you get to the stage where you're stuck, you're in the toothpaste tube, okay? And you're at that point where somebody needs to come along and give you a bit of a boost, okay? So if you see a colleague and they suddenly are normally quite bright, quite high at the coffee machine, quite upbeat, whatever, and you suddenly see a change in their temperament, you see a change in the way that they're approaching the tasks, you see a way in the way that the output has gone down or something. They're in that gap in the toothpaste tube, right? Something has happened that's created a blockage. And the only way out is for someone to come along down this end, give it a squidge, and push the toothpaste along. So, what we have to do as friends, colleagues, accountability partners, scholar up mentors, right? We are the ones that are down this end squeezing. Whether we're helping kids, whether we're helping adults, we're still got to help. We need it. We need that. We need someone to come and squeeze our tube, you know? And the point is that if we don't have that person, we stay stuck. Okay. So when you talk about imposter syndrome, I think that imposter syndrome is often mistaken for stuck syndrome. Stuck syndrome is where you are 1 minute you were doing great and everyone thought, oh, they're really, you know, succeeding, everything's great. Then all of a sudden, they're not. So what changed, right? Instead of assuming that they've gone downhill for whatever reason, how about we investigate? Because quite often we'll find that that's created that change in that personality, and their work output has been that something has changed down the line. It could be personal issues, marriage, it could be children causing chaos, it could be exams, it could be, you know, it could be all kinds of stuff. It could be their own personal journey that they've found themselves up against something harder than they thought it was going to be, and they don't want to admit it. So they stay in the tube of toothpaste stuck, right? So what I say to everybody is open your eyes, open your hearts, look around you. You'll notice the people. Amaka, you've been doing this long enough. Sorry, Dr. Amaka, you've been doing this long enough to know when you're within your scholar system that the people that have got stuck in the tube of toothpaste and they've needed someone to come along and just give them a little squeeze along to help get that back going along. Do you understand? And I think that we are mistaking imposter syndrome for being stuck syndrome. And I think that we've all been there, we've all done it, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's because it's completely natural. It's absolutely natural that at some point in our careers, we're going to find ourselves going, have I made the right choice? Did I really want to do this? You know, right? And then eventually you go, actually, yeah, I do. I just found myself in a bit of a blip. And that's where the mentors and your accountabilities and your friends and your family all come together, and they all collectively squeeze that tube of toothpaste along to help move you back to where you need to be. So I think rather than have it as seeing it as potential failure, seeing it as potential imposter syndrome, that you couldn't do it, I can't do it, I'm not capable, I think we call it stuck syndrome. And I think if we accept it as that, we can all help somebody get out of it by collectively being kind, helpful, resourceful,
Thank you.
etc.
That was such a beautiful. It's just such a beautiful analogy. The way you described it. I like the way you describe things. You have a very way of having painting a vivid picture that's now it stays with you. That you just have to remember it and use it like as a way to encourage somebody along. And I think you are right. I think I've recognized that in people, and I've also been in those situations myself where I begin to question everything. There's been times I question and I asked Augusta, scholar up, are we doing the right thing? Like, what are we even doing? Should we even be doing this? And then in those moments, she reminds me of the people we've helped. She talks about the impact of the work, and suddenly it's like, oh, okay, it makes sense. And I think it's vice versa. So I feel like that is where making sure you're surrounding yourself intentionally with the right energy goes a long way, because believe it or not, things will happen to us that will make us question everything. You know, you question, I've questioned coming to the United States, I've questioned if it makes sense to get a PhD. So, you know, sometimes when people hear us taking the position of mentors or being coaches, it looks as though you have your own life all figured out. Like you don't ever run into those stuck situations that you described where you feel like It's not all working. I think what makes the difference is how long you stay in that limbo. That if you've surrounded yourself enough and you've trained yourself a lot, yes, those moments will come, but they will pass as quickly. They will come, and before you know, you're able to just move yourself along or have people to push you along the toothpaste, and then you keep going. Yeah, that's very beautiful. Thank you very much. And I think somebody asked the question. I'm going to put the question on the screen. It's I was just reading the question. He says, how can I work without comparison? If I'm only posting on LinkedIn 2 times a week, and I know that people I'm competing with post 7 times a week, isn't that comparison is useful to show me how much more I need to do? Wow, yeah, this is it's an interesting question. And Mama Paulette, I'll give you a shot at it, and then my Vironke would also give her opinion before I ask her question. So now we are looking at comparison, right? When you are comparing yourself to people. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we've made the point that comparison is never good. So the guy or the person who's posting 7 times a week, have a look at the quality of what they're posting. There are a lot of people who are posting a whole load of tripe, okay? And when it's tripe, no one gives a monkey. It just whizzes on by, right? When you put something of value up twice a week, people stop and read it. So my answer to you is, don't compare yourself to the 7 times a week person, because they might not be getting the follow-ups, the interest, the collateral from it. They just might be getting whoop, off it goes, because it's got no substance, no value. So my point would be, make those 2 posts count. Make them so valuable, so useful. We're looking for the next one. Okay? 1 came in, and now waiting for the second. Mr. 7 a day, 7 a week, 25 a day, whatever he is, they're just whizzing on by. All right?
Ivy, what do you think about comparison in that regard? Because I think that is something that someone else has asked me, but I'll give my comment after you. What do you think about that? Comparing yourself to people in terms of output, in terms of efficiency or work well done.
Okay. Because that's my son who put up that question. What I will say to you will be, what is your objective? Your objective is what should speak to you. You do not know the objective who you are comparing yourself with, or who you are competing with, who's posting. You have your objectives. Your twice a week posting, are they meeting your objectives or not? Now you're comparing yourself, you're benchmarking yourself against your own objectives and not against another person's objectives who you do not even know. So that's where I'll lean. Focus on what you want to achieve, go for it, and be consistent with it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that's exactly what I would have said. When I train people on personal branding, I always say the goal determines the process. There's no one size fits all for everybody, really. There's no one size fits all. The question is, why are you doing it? What's the whole point? What's the point of showing up, right? My mentor sent me a message. He said, keep posting 7 times a week. Your posts are valuable. It just made me laugh. So it's all about it. So why are you doing it? What is the whole goal of what you are doing? It shouldn't be because somebody else is doing it. It's like, why am I showing up? What is the point for me? And if you're clear on your why, if you're clear on your goal, then just as my Bironke explained, your benchmark becomes yourself, your goal, your objective, not somebody else. Because someone else posting 7 times a week, it may be valuable or it may not be. That leaves, but then they may have a whole set of reasons for wanting to do that. People's goal may be wanting to build a business online, for example. People may be trying to build a business, so they want to be more visible, they want to advertise more, they want to attract a bigger audience. That may not be your goal. You may be in your career and you're just going a different path altogether. So why do you want to show up? Why do you want to post? I think that once we begin to look at our life from that lens of why am I doing what I'm doing and how does it tie into my overall life objective, I think that helps us. So before we go to the last set of questions, Augusta, hit us, give us another quick
Thank
summary. And
you.
then, yes,
'Cause I was not itchy to talk about this LinkedIn thing because
I
it's
saw
a
you.
challenge.
I saw your face.
It's a challenge that I also have to cope with because like comparison is it's real. It will happen even no matter how much you try to shrug it off, it will come. And I just keep evaluating. Sometimes I want to post in the morning because morning posts do well. You see people they come and then I realize that I've decided that I want to use my mornings to do personal development stuff, my school stuff, and also work. But at the same time, I want to post because I'm developing my writing skills. I'm also building my business. So I have to find a way to strike the balance. So some people are actually on LinkedIn because that's their work. This is like their means of livelihood. Them being on LinkedIn is what is feeding them or whatever. And then you have other things they are doing. So you have to strike a balance. And as they said, find your own benchmark because you can't be comparing another person's benchmark to your benchmark. And there's a joke that I used to say with my brother. I don't know why he's not here today. Eromosele, that we have life outside LinkedIn. So you don't want to be shiny, looking all nice and bright on LinkedIn while your real life is suffering. So yeah, you need to strike the balance. That's what I'm going to say. Yeah, so yeah, my summary, we continue from dealing with comparison, and Madam Paulette said comparison is a thief of joy. We cannot overemphasize that. I'm going to laugh what I wrote down. What you see is the filtered version of people, not just their faces. They filter everything, filter their content. There's some people that in real life, when you see their content, you'll be like, this thing is not true, but they've already polished it that, oh, I just tried there, I just had a deal of 5,000. I mean, this is a six-figure deal. And you're like, okay. So people are filtering their stories. It's called positioning. But don't be moved by that. I mean, be motivated, but don't let it move you to comparison. And then Madam Paula said life is bigger than the big bomb. It's about being kind. It's about being compassionate, right? You've been given a shell and you need to learn to be happy in it. It's very important. This is also going to what's it called? Self-esteem. So there is imposter syndrome and there's also self-esteem. You feel like, oh, you're not good enough, you're not shiny enough, you're not rich enough. And so what? Really? And then we now came to Madam Ibironke. She said, we said motivation alone cannot sustain you. And then what she does, instead of closing her business after running for 2 years and it's like a sinking basket, you're just pouring water and water is going off. She had to look inwards and remember her why. Why did she start this business? What does she hope to achieve? And then back again to accountability and her support systems who keep her going and reminding her of what she's doing. And of course, you need to develop discipline. And how do you do this is by building structures. So I'll add to this by saying like having like a timetable or things that like just help you keep things running. Then Madam Paulette said have your belief system and hold on to it, like having high moral standards. Don't give up your moral standards for anything. Open your eyes, open your hearts, and you will see the people. I think there was a question here. I don't want to go ahead of myself, but there was a question here about how do you find the people who are for you. As she said, open your eyes, they're there, and open your heart. And then I'll add to that and say, be that person. Be that person. Okay? And then finally, don't use another person's benchmark to evaluate your own performance. Know your objective, know your why, and then stick to it. Thank you. Lovely conversation, guys.
Thank you so much, Dr. Augusta. Thank you very much. We are going to be wrapping up very soon. My Biranke, my question for you is what do you say to someone who feels like they are not ready? I feel like that's someone, as a coach, I've seen that so many times. people, you do all the motivation, but in their mind they feel like, I'm not ready. I'm going to fail. People would laugh at me. People will make fun of me. I feel like that's a common problem. How do you really get people out of that phase of, I need to keep learning, but never implementing? Let me just keep learning. People are happy to be students, all their life without actually putting the stuff they're learning into.
I was joking with someone that there are so many people I've seen who are lifelong learners, but who never step out into the real world, what they have learned, or to put what you have learned in practice. It happens to a lot of people. In fact, I see it happening to children too. They move from school to school, and I say to them, you are afraid of the real world, and at some time you would have to do it. What I have seen in my short years on earth is ever going to be the best time for you to step out. Yesterday, but the better time is tomorrow. But you will have to step out at some point. You'll have to test the water. So no matter how good your ideas look on paper, how well put together they are in your head, until you take that decision to step out, even if you're doing it unsure, afraid on the journey, you will learn as you go along. Fold until you have started. You're not going to keep the bud of a flower hidden, pressed in your palm like this and expect it to bloom. It's not going to bloom. Yes, you run the risk of having too much rain, kill the flower, too much sun, wither it, but you'd never know if you do not try. So there's never going to be a perfect time. A perfect timing is an illusion. You're going to go out there, make it happen for you. You don't have to take the big giant steps. Take it in little bits, but try to be consistent and be open to learning. When you're open to learning, thank you.
Thank you so much. That was really deep. It's like word. When we're in Nigeria, when somebody says something, it's like, yeah, that one entered. It really hit. It struck a chord. Yeah, that's true. It's like you have a flower in your palm. Except you open your palm, you never know, right? You never really know. And I think so many times I've worked with people who are able to, who have the willingness to implement. I've also met other people who just want to keep learning, and they would never want to put the things they learn into practice. So I guess that is another analogy for me to go and use and tell them that, you will never really be ready unless you try. And I think the journey readies you, is what I think. I think the process of becoming you, things unfold, it becomes clearer. When we started our academy 10 months ago, believe it or not, we did not know what we were doing, but we were figuring it out. We figured it out along the way. We figured it out. We figured the branding. We figured what we wanted to do, until we got to the point where we could say the things we were doing in one sentence. It took a while for us to reach that point of clarity. So we didn't have it figured. The only thing we knew for sure was that we are doing this, we want to help other people, and that was like the main objective. So I really think that should be a push for someone listening, that if you are waiting until you see all the staircase, you probably never get started. If you can see the first tiny stairs, then take the first step, and then you keep moving forward. So, Marcolette, I'm going to ask you your last question before we all conclude. What's one shift in mindset or daily routine that made a big difference for you on how you show up and how you can kind of transfer that, impact that on somebody else? How do you reach that point where you shift your mind and you are able to really stay in that period of knowing that, yeah, I may not have it all figured out, but I'm going to show up anyway, and I'll learn along the journey?
I think the most important thing is to not be fearful. Fear is as bad as comparison. So we mustn't be fearful. So I think saying to ourselves that we can do it is the start. Then it's the why we're doing it, right? So back to the nightclub. You know, can I get the guy? Yeah. Why do I want to get the guy? Right? Well, maybe I fancy a meal. I don't know. But the point is, the key is these cans, the whys, the hows, all the obvious questions. But it's really important not to let fear hold you back. Fear is crippling, and fear is the biggest block to learning. It's the biggest block to moving on. It's the biggest block to making a change. You know, it stops us deciding about everything, because fear says, what if I do that, this might happen. If I do that, this might happen. So you do nothing because it's better that way, because that way nothing goes wrong. But you're stuck again. We're stuck in the tube of toothpaste again, right? So we've got to be less fearful. We've got to allow ourselves a little bit of discomfort. You know, it's a bit prickly on that ground, you know, we don't like walking on it very much with bare feet. But unless we do it, we're just going to stay stuck. So we either stand here on this shelly piece of earth or sand, or we get to the car that's over there. So we can either stay here and just go, well, you know, the weather's nice at the moment, but it won't be later, or we move across. Okay. And we have to be willing to be fearful and say that fear has to be pushed down and the strength come up, and we go, okay, like you said, one step. But I think we have to visualize ourselves and really understand what fear is. Fear can cripple you to keep you where you are. And like you said, there are students who will be students for life. Okay, there'll be students all the way through until they end up being doctorates, and then there'll be professors, and they'll stay in the university, right? And they may never leave their location. And that is true because they are too fearful to step outside, right? But likewise, we can be scared of writing a book. What if nobody reads it? What if nobody likes it? What if it's rubbish? What if? So you don't pick the pen up, right? That's not the answer. The answer is pick the pen up and try. And the worst case scenario is we move a couple of steps and we realize actually it is a bit rubbish. I think I might rethink what I'm doing. Or you might say to yourself, actually, I'm going to get to the car. I'm going to make my way across that sandy beach, walking very, very carefully. But you have to move. Fear keeps us locked and stuck. And that's the part that we really need to grow out of. And you know what? I honestly say this to you. This has happened to me a million gazillion times. And and every time it happens, you forget and you move on, because it didn't matter now because I've moved on. And then you come up against something else and you go, oh, but my learning tells me I can do it because I did it before. And that's the part that if we allow fear to hold us back, we'll never move forward. So we have to move forward. As scary as it is, we have to do
Wow,
it.
that's important. Yeah, I guess we all come up to those moments where you feels like not doing anything is the best choice, right? Because there's that fear of, well, if I don't do it, then I cannot be labeled as a failure. I think the fear of failure is such a big one. People don't want to embarrass themselves. People don't want to be laughed at. So it's like, if I don't come and post on LinkedIn, then nobody can say my post is rubbish, right? That's the British. I don't know the last time I heard the word rubbish. That is so British. Americans don't use the term rubbish, so it sounds very funny to me just hearing it. But it is true that sometimes we have to also be willing to be uncomfortable. You have to be willing to say, well, if I fail, then I fail. Maybe I learned that this did not work, and then you just kind of stand up from it. And I think another important point is recognizing that failure is part of the process. That there's really no law or no rule that say you are going to succeed at everything you try. we need to just make peace with that part, that the fact that I decided to try this business or try this thing, there's no law anywhere that says it must be successful. So we have to be willing to even reach a point where I tried it, maybe this is not for me, maybe I need to pivot. All of those things just helps us to not stay stuck in the fear. Thank you so much. And I think Annie was saying something. Annie says, the biggest thing to keep you accountable is being crystal clear about your why. What is driving you? How will you impact people? How will your life change when you do X, Y, Z? Thank you so much, Annie. You are so right. So it's important that we keep refining our clarity. The way I see it, personally, from personal experience, I don't think clarity is something that just comes to you like a eureka moment. That's not what I think. I don't think you wake up from sleep and suddenly you are crystal clear about your life's purpose. Now I know everything I'm supposed to do. I feel like clarity is discovered. I feel like it's in the process of the doing that things, you kind of refine it, you begin to see more clearly, and it is the doing that helps you to find that. So if you don't know what your purpose is, maybe you just need to get started. You need to get started and stay the course. Thank you so much. So my Biranke, I'll ask you your last question, and then all of us will have the opportunity to conclude. We are very good on the time, so I'm so proud. I'm so proud of us. So what role has mentorship or community played in helping you to move past self-doubt? You know, you've spoken a lot about accountability. So now I'm trying to, what role has it played for you personally? I think you're muted. Okay. Yes, you're muted now.
You know what? Okay, you know what to say about your mind challenge. I grew up. I was raised by a mother, who believed that asking for help was a sign of weakness. So I almost became that. You had to do it alone. You had to walk through your challenges alone. That showed strength. That was how it was, and that was what I imbibed. Of years of my life, when I realized that seeking help was a sign of strength. It meant you wanted to grow. It meant you wanted by learning from other people or leaning on other people. You cannot know everything. You cannot have every skill that you need at every point in time. Now, the challenge may be finding the type of community that works for you, but find a community you must if you want to grow. So the same way we have mentors in our careers, in businesses, mentors for your personal life, relationship, your faith life, your parenting, building your family, it makes the road less bumpy. Not because that person is going to give you the blueprints to do everything right, but that person show you some things that you do not even know about yourself, help you unleash some hidden potential. I was struggling with being visible, for instance, on LinkedIn. I didn't have a clue. I didn't even think anybody wanted to hear about parenting on LinkedIn. Everybody was a suit wearing, tie knotting professional, brandishing certifications and things everywhere. I didn't have brandish anywhere. I started a new job. So I just thought, hey, nobody was going to listen to me here. But then I did it. And then I had a community that kept giving me feedback. You're making a difference. We're learning from you. People are learning from you. Once you have a support system, they push you to do those things that, like Mama Paulette said, those things that you shine away from, that you were afraid to do, but had them in you. They help you get out of that. I'm never going to view a toothpaste, thanks to you. They make you move from that stock part of the toothpaste tube to, come out and doing amazingly well. Everybody, I preach it now, everybody needs a community. Everybody needs mentors. hindsight is 2020. If I had this type of community, or had found the importance of community 20 years ago, I'm certain several aspects of my life. Right now, I tell my children, even if you don't do anything, get mentors, get people who will tell you right, who are not afraid to tell you, push it and do a bit more. So I have found the power of community as recently, I hate to say this to my children, as recently as just about 2 years ago.
Okay, thank you very much. So I was fishing. I was going to ask, which community were you referring to about LinkedIn? Which community were you talking about?
Aha! Now Dr. Amaka wants me to spill it out. Okay.
Fishing. Oh, well, I'm
There's
curious.
no
I
other
want to know.
community. Yes. Do you know how many people from Scholar and Elevate Your Professional Presence community have come back to me privately to say, oh, I changed this parenting style and it worked. I did this that you wrote and it worked. It makes you days seem like a breeze. They seem like a breeze. Supportive community here. If anybody can get me, push me to wake up 90 minutes earlier every day, and I've been doing that consistently, Dr. Maka, since I think that was the 4th of January when we started this program, consistently, and it has made me more efficient. You know, if anyone can get me to do that, it could only have been from this community. Mentoring Academy, fantastic, supportive, and they won't always give you the tools that you need to work with.
Thank you so much. Don't mind me. I just wanted to make sure there's no ambiguity. You know, the people listening may not be sure who you were referring to. So don't mind me. You know, I needed to be. Mama Colette is laughing at me. We are coming to the end of the program. Thank you so much, everyone. We're so grateful for your time. Mama Colette, I'll give you an opportunity to give us conclusion and how people can reach you, you know, people who are not connected to you, just a little bit about yourself and what you do, and just like concluding like your final thoughts on our program for today. And then my Bironka will have the same, and then Augusta will wrap us up with her last bit of the conclusion, and we'll be out on our merry ways. Thank you.
Okay, so I think to round up, I think it's really important that you know who you are. You know the good bits about you and the bad bits. You know the bits that need improving on. You don't need someone else necessarily to point those out. You know them. You know your failings. Mine is I don't suffer fools. I'm learning to suffer fools, but I still don't like fools. But I am trying to not suffer fools and be happier about it. So the big thing is you have to learn the things you're not good at and be aware of them. And I think being the best version of you is all anyone can ever ask of. But the best version of you comes with you accepting you, warts and all, as we say. And that means in whatever guise you turn up in with the person that you are, the shell that you are, with that magnificent heart that you're showing, because you wouldn't be here if you didn't have that magnificent heart. You wouldn't be part of this community if you didn't have a huge heart, because a heart is at the center of everything. Heart and your belief system. And so I will say my final words are this. Please look in the mirror every day and tell yourself how wonderful you are. And tell yourself your greatness. And then every day, tell yourself one thing you'd like to work a little bit harder, just a little bit. And then tell your accountability partner, be it your friend, your husband, your community, as we've been hearing from. I wanted to say Dr. Ivy. I've just decided you're Dr. Ivy now. I've renamed you. So you're a doctor as well. So the point I'm trying to make is this: be happy in your skin. Be happy in your mind. Be happy in who you are. And just go out there and be the best you. There is no other you. There's only you, right? So you have to be the best version of you.
Yeah, I agree. That's true. I think something I always say as a reminder to everyone is, if only you did your best is enough. Just give your best. And if you're sure that you've given your best, it should be enough for you, and it should be enough for the world. That's all that we are called to do. So my Biranke, I'm going to also pass it to you to give your final thoughts so that we can get going. Thank you so much for being here. Just give us like your final conclusions, and make sure you connect with Ma Paulette Harlem. This is her LinkedIn name on the screen. If you're not connected, she is definitely a valuable connection for you to have. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for having me here. It's been a pleasure being here, an honor actually. What I would say is, in conclusion, every day is a new day to make a difference. You always have a chance to correct mistakes. You have to take another shot. You have a chance to do. It's a blank slate. It's like you wake up with a blank canvas every day and you choose what to paint. But in all of your painting, please paint kindness, paint empathy, and paint love. Because when you, that is what you get back. Like Dr. Augusta mentioned, if you're looking for those people who would help you, be that person to other people. Then you begin to attract the kind of people you need in your life to help you on your journey. But you cannot an opposite and expect to attract this kind of people. So be kind, embrace each day, ready to do better than you did the last time, or simply enjoy the moment, live in the moment, breathe. It's not like say in our local balance, it's not that hard. Just breathe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then also, please make sure to connect with her. This is a LinkedIn name. These are all valuable connections that you want to have in your network, really. It's been very exciting having the both of you today. I feel very honored that both of you said yes and you came here to share, wisdom and experience. I always want to learn from people who have lived it. Most of the time, I prefer to learn from people who have lived it beyond people who learned about it to tell me about it, right? Because anybody can do that, but sometimes being there, done that makes all the difference. So before we go to Augusta, conclusion from you so that we can be out of here.
When I see your face,
Aww.
there's not a thing I'd rather change. 'Cause you're amazing,
Aww.
just the way you are. Hey.
Why are you not a musician?
Thank you, wonderful women. So my final words are your final words. Do it unsure, do it afraid. You will learn on your journey. Perfect timing is an illusion. Create the perfect time and make it happen. You'll never be ready unless you try. This is Madam Ivy. Now, fear is as bad as comparison. You mustn't be fearful. Don't let fear cripple you. If you let fear hold you back, you will never move forward. Use your fear as a springboard. And who is that? Ma Paulette. And I just want to add a final word. I remember fear can be like a good thing, right? Fear is not as bad, it's not the enemy. I remember in medical school, I think one of the reasons I'm a doctor today is because I failed. I mean, I was jonesing. I don't know if you know what jonesing is, but I was jonesing in first and second year and I now failed. Oh my God, it was quite embarrassing. And throughout the rest of medical school, I was just focused on not failing again. And that's how I kept passing, and I passed and I graduated. So fear is what you make of it, like anything in life, and use fear to your advantage and let it be your springboard. And that's my final word. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for staying with us in the chat. You really kept the chat going. It's just hard for me to keep up. I'll do a bit of shout outs with the last couple of chats that I'm seeing. We have Dr. Nneka from the UK. She says, thank you very much for the discussions. Dr. Nneka, we're happy to have you here. Thank you for showing up. Emmanuel says, the best version of you is accepting you. Thank you so much for staying up till the end. It's always exciting, the number of people we have coming in. Echezuna says, look in the mirror every day and tell yourself how wonderful you are. Thank you, Ma'am Paulette. So he took that. Yeah, thank you. Make sure you do that. I'll remind myself. After this thing, I'll go and look at the mirror and tell myself, you're wonderful. Yeah, I have to do that. Remy says, someone always draws my attention to the fact that failure is first attempt at learning. Okay, that's good. That's a good way to look at it, right? Yeah, because I was saying that failure is not always a bad thing, really. It depends on how you choose to look at it. You have to see it as an opportunity to keep growing. Thank you for that nugget. Emmanuel says, every day is a new day to make a day. Okay. Okay, thank you. Blessing says, seeing possibilities in oneself. Thank you very much for your input. Emmanuel, in all your paintings, please paint kindness and empathy. Yes, that is very important. That's from IB. Give what you want and you will attract what you want. That's true. This is so true. Whenever people tell me how I'm able to attract the quality of people I attract to my community, I tell them, have you seen me? Like, have you seen me? Don't let me brag. Chidi says, let's always show kindness, empathy, and love. Yes, that's what we should do. And then Jean, thank you very much. You are welcome. And Chidi says he enjoyed every moment. That's powerful. Thank you so much for being here. You all are very active. So active. It's a lot of chat. Heyman says, fear does not hold one back. It is oneself who does. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think fear is about how you choose to see your fear. It's about how you choose to see your fear. And Emmanuel is repeating what you said. He said, do it unsure, do it afraid. Perfect timing is an illusion. And then Chinwendu, in conclusion, says, thank you all for this session. It was worth the time. We're happy to hear that. Thank you all for such wonderful feedback. If you want to make me happy, write a post about this event. Tag all the wonderful speakers. Just say these are some of the nuggets you learned from the event. It always makes me happy to see those reviews. And then those who were not able to come in today can actually gain some value from what you share. So that's the least you can do for us, right? This is a free event, so you might as well write something about it. So that's something valuable to post about, because there's been a lot of valuable nuggets shared today. In conclusion, what's Heyman saying? He says, thank you. And what is Paulette's favorite bar? He wants to know. I don't know. Maybe.
Does he mean where will he
Yeah,
find
well,
me?
we were talking about the bar, right? So maybe you have a favorite one.
Yeah. So definitely one without married women like me. Probably one where the sorts of people that you would like to meet hang out.
Okay, all right. I'm sure you got that. I'm going to share our last about Scholar Up, our video, which is a 1-minute video. Is always the way we wrap up our event, but I'm going to let the speakers say all bye to everybody, and then I'll share that video and we'll be out of here. So I'll share the video. It's just like 1 minute.
Success begins with the right guidance and opportunities. And at Scholar Up Mentoring Academy, we are here to help you unlock your full potential. Whether you're preparing for graduate school applications or building a standout professional presence on LinkedIn, we provide the tools and support you need to thrive. Our programs are designed to help you craft a compelling personal brand, position yourself for global opportunities, and achieve your dreams. Led by Dr. Amaka Ifaduba, a dedicated mentor and coach, Scholar Up empowers you with personalized mentoring, actionable resources, and proven strategies to take bold steps toward a brighter future. Scholar Up Mentoring Academy is more than a program. It's a community dedicated to helping you succeed. Take the first step today and discover how we can guide you on your journey to greatness. Follow our page for updates and access all our resources at linktree.com/scholarupacademy. Your success story starts here.
Okay, thank you everyone. And I think in the end, Dr. Jessica says, use your fear as a springboard. So I feel like that's a good note to end the event. We should all take that with us. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. Bye, everyone.